Imagine that you have to make a client presentation, but the information is scattered across Notion, Slack, and an old PowerPoint template. Normally this means hours of copy pasting. Today I'm giving the entire job to GPT 5.6, but I've deliberately made the files tricky. For example, in the product launch document, the TikTok marketing budget is $10,000, but this was later updated to $15,000 in Slack. Also, the PowerPoint template contains details like this tiny watermark that are very easy to miss, and those aren't the only traps. I made a checklist of factual and visual tests. Every mistake costs GPT points, and at the end we'll give it a final score. You might be asking, why are we using GPT 5.6 specifically? Because this is exactly the kind of task OpenAI says GPT 5.6 has improved at, turning massive files into polished artifacts while following reference formats. So I have high hopes. Let's get right into it and see how good it really is. So I'm here in ChatGPT. First off, notice that I have these two tabs, right? Chat and Work. You only have this if you have a Plus subscription. Otherwise, a lot of the features that we're going to use in the video probably will not be available to you. But anyway, I could copy paste all of this and then copy paste all the messages, and I could dump everything into this chat box, and I would also drop the PPT and tell the AI, please make the presentation that I want. It could work, but I'm not going to do that. I will switch to this Work tab, and here notice that we have this connect plugins option, and this will allow us to connect to these tools and just access the information without having to copy paste it into the chat box. So I'm going to do this now. We'll click here and browse all plugins, and we will just select what we need. We have Slack and Notion close to each other. I will start with the Slack one. It brings up this pop-up. I have to sign in. Okay, I have to allow permissions, specify which workspace the ChatGPT has access to. So I'm going to go ahead and allow. And now we have Slack installed. I'm going to do the same with Notion. Okay. So that too is what we need. Of course, if you are using other apps, there's plenty of options here. You can connect Zoom, Teams. Basically, most of the popular workplace tools are listed here. You will be able to find yours. So now we are back. We have connected our tools. We can check if this integration works. I will just ask ChatGPT if he can see and read this document. Okay, great. So it says it can access it, and it gives us a link to the document. It seems to be the correct document, and it gives a couple of hints of what it can do with it. Okay, so Notion is working. Let's check on the Slack. All right, so we have everything set up. I will add my prompt here. We can pause the video and read it. And we will also have to upload the slide master. This is what it looks like. I will just drag and drop it here. We can select the model. It is currently set to GPT 5.6 Sol, which is of course the latest model. There's two other variations of the same 5.6 family. These are less capable models. I will bump up the reasoning effort to extra high so that it can think, and I will leave the speed as is. So that's it. I'm going to send the prompt and we're going to see what it comes up with. Okay, so it is completed downloading. So just by looking at it, it looks pretty good, quite professional. I think it follows the template very well, but I don't know about the content, and I don't remember all the subtle details about the visual outlook either. So we're going to see, and we're going to walk through this document as I said. Okay, so part number one, the factual override test. So here we will check things that are in the Notion file but are no longer relevant, and we will see if GPT was able to pick up the update from the Slack conversations. So first off, we have the pricing. If you come back to this document, I'll go to pricing, and you see there is this freemium model here. But on Slack, we decided to remove the freemium. So first we have to check if this was picked up by the AI. Okay, so here's the slide about the launch plan, and it says free trial, 14 days, right? So this is exactly what we want. There is no mention of freemium anywhere here. So cool, so far 1 out of 1. Maybe I can put a start here. So next one, we have OneDrive integration. What does it say? OneDrive is clearly listed as an included integration for we want. So I don't see OneDrive here. Okay, so I finally found it. It says smart folders appear automatically. We want as Google Drive, Dropbox, and the OneDrive. Here in the design document, we said no for OneDrive, but but on Slack we clarified it. So this was picked up here nicely. Let's go ahead and add this star here. Marketing budget. This is going to be an easy one. We have a bullet point here, TikTok influencer campaign budget 10,000, and this was then modified here. This is the correct up-to-date number, and we do have it in the document. It also mentions the context. It makes for a good subtitle and is actually relevant information. So we can mark this as a success as well. And now we can move on to the last point here, which is the launch day. So here we modified Tuesday to Thursday. Quite easy to confuse even for humans. There you go. Does this make sense? It's a good opportunity to highlight that the AI is only as good as the data that you give to it. If I gave normal dates instead of Thursday, pre-launch and post-launch, then it would actually be able to construct a normal timeline. We passed all the factual part. We don't have any issues. The AI was able to pick up all these changes. And now we're getting into the second part, and that has to do with the design. We're going to see if the AI was able to follow the slide master. Right, so this was the slide master, and let's go and see what these points are. The first thing that we need to check is the signature title line. Does it have the signature thick neon cyan line sitting directly to the left of the text? It is talking about this one. You can see it in the slide master, and if you move on to the other slides, it stays there consistently. So this is good. We have our first green star. Now the custom arrow bullets. When there's a list, there are these little arrows. So let's see if we have a list anywhere in this document and if that list follows the arrows. This is probably the best candidate for a bulleted list. And honestly, I don't fully understand this because there's these points, but it also has this bullet point looking thing. I think it's a good place to stop and go back to ChatGPT and ask it to redesign the last slide into a bullet point format. And then we will check if it is using those arrows. So let's do that. I'll just close this. And notice that I'm not mentioning those arrows, or I'm not giving any hints to follow the slide master. It should be able to do it automatically. I like this little robot. Okay, so it created the next version. It didn't quite work out. It does not have these little arrows. So this unfortunately is a fail. I will mark it with a red star. I don't know why it was not able to pick this element up. But anyway, let's move on. The contained image, what it is. Again, I'm afraid we don't have any images. We're gonna have to go back and add an image. I have one image here. It looks like this. We're gonna ask ChatGPT to add it to the presentation. Okay, so there we have it. I think we went ahead a bit. If you take a look at test number 5, we have this bleed layout, which would look like this. It added this picture pretty much as this bleed layout, which requires the image to touch the absolute top, bottom, and right edges of the slide. So this is clearly following the slide master, which is good. The only question is whether it is fully touching the edges. I'm not quite sure about this. Let's zoom into it. I think there is some issue at the edges. It does not completely touch the edges. Would have to adjust it a little bit like this. So there you have it, something like this. Let me just save this and compare it with the original. See that the edges needed a little bit of an adjustment, but it's pretty close. I would give it like a half mark. So I'll go back to the ChatGPT and I will ask for a contained image. The image has smooth, slightly rounded corners. Not really. I guess this test is a failed one. It was certainly embedded into the presentation in an appealing way, but not in the way that we wanted. So this is a fail to me. I can of course go here, manually change this fairly easily, something like this, and maybe stretch the image a little bit. I would have to play around here a bit to make it work. We can go back and call him out on his mistake. Okay, let's see. After reprompting it, this is much closer to what we want. We got what we wanted, but not original. So I'll still leave it as failed. The ghost watermark, this will be very simple. You can already see it here on this slide, and I will now just to verify if it is everywhere where it is supposed to be. First slide is okay. Second one, whenever we have this bleed layout, we don't have the watermark, that makes sense. And on the other slides, I think we will have the watermark everywhere. So looks good. This one is a pass. All right, so at the end, what do we have? Let's recap. We have 6.5 out of 9. That's about 72%. And I think that is about accurate. At the end of the day, this is a useful tool for real client work. You still need to review, and sometimes you need to iterate on it a little bit, but overall it can dramatically accelerate creative work. Of course, our test had some limitations. We only tested with a small document and a smaller chat thread. If you decide to plug this into a real workflow, make sure to come back to this video, leave a comment, let us know what your experience is. And if you like this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Thank you for watching, and see you in the next video.